Listen, if he's ready to stand up after getting a gunshot, he's certainly not going to back down to China or Iran or Russia or any of our enemies. And that's the guy we need in power. I walk in redemption. Hey, everybody, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. And as always, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. As you can see, I'm not in my studio. I'm in a hotel room. I'm at the Bellagio, actually, in Vegas. It's my son's birthday weekend, so we're here celebrating. This is where he chose to come, so we're going to have a nice weekend. And obviously, I'm sorry, it's been a crazy weekend with all this that's going on with Trump. As we were driving down here, I got a social media message from one of my followers who happened to be at the rally last evening. And I think he was on Fox News at some point earlier today. And he agreed to sit down with me, him and his close friend, Robert. They were both there together. They've actually had some video that they sent me. And I want you to hear their perspective as to what happened last night. I know we're hearing a lot of reports. Some of them are very troubling, quite honestly. But these two men were there. They're eyewitnesses to what happened. And I think you're going to enjoy getting some information from them. So without any further delay, my two friends, Thomas and Robert. Okay, so Thomas and Robert. You know, it's funny. I just got here to Vegas and I got your text, and I appreciate you being a follower of mine and getting in contact with me. Obviously, for the past 24 hours, we've been hearing nothing about the attempted Trump assassination, and you both were there. So not only were you eyewitnesses to the event, but you also took some video that I know you're going to send to me. So really, let's get started. I mean, just give me an idea of everything, just give me the setup. How was it there last night?
It was great. We got there early. You had to with his rallies. I mean, I'm sure I mean, they could hold, 15 to 60, 70,000 people there. And we knew when he came here in 2020, it was going to be a massive rally. And obviously, right now with his momentum, it's going to be just great. The atmosphere was awesome. We got there early, probably like 8 a.m. We were standing in line. The heat was brutal, 90 degrees. But the atmosphere was awesome. It was electric. And, they let us in early. We got in, found our seats. We were able to get up there pretty close to the stage. We're only 5 rows in front of him,
Mm.
a little bit to his left. And, it was basically a party. There's the people there are just good patriots, listening to music from the 70s and 80s. People are dancing, having a good time. And then there's different speakers that will come up and, say a little bit to the crowd, get them pumped up. And then finally, when he came out, it was just electric, unmatched, never seen anything like it. And 7 minutes later into his speech, we heard the gunfire. And at first, it came to my left, which was his right. Um, I just thought it was firecrackers. I didn't even think it was gunshots because it's the last thing you really think of because you think it's super secured there, which it wasn't, obviously. The guy was only 150, yards away or so. Um, by the time I looked back over the trunks, I looked over to my left at the gunfire, and I seen him grab, the side of his head, and then I seen him fall, but he didn't collapse or anything. I seen him like get down, so I kind of thought to myself like he might be okay. And then obviously he got jumped on by his security detail. Um, but the shooting kept on going on, and people were diving on the ground left and right, screaming. Um, it was a scary sight. It was very disturbing to say the least.
Well, let me ask you this. I got a number of questions to ask you, especially in light of all of the reports that we've been hearing about different things. But let me ask you this. People, at least people on the left, often try to say that the size of his crowds are exaggerated. But, and they say that all the time. And when we're looking at it on television, they look huge. How many people do you estimate were there last night?
So where we were sitting, it's in front of the where the news is, and it's usually just seating. Like there's seats there actually. There's sections, and you can sit down in that little area alone. Plus, there's three bleachers. There's to his left, directly behind him, and to his right. And unfortunately, that's where one of the his supporters got killed from his right side. It was just off to our left. I mean, there's probably about 5,000 people just in that little area. But behind the media section, where obviously they're not going to turn around and show you, was standing only, and it was a sea of people. I mean, I kept on standing on my chair before he came out and was recording, trying to get shots, and you couldn't see where it ended. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would say another 20,000 people, 25,000 people were back there, and I heard that there were so many people there that they stopped letting them in, and they're standing out, outside of the designated area they had, protected for him, and where the shooter ended up on one of the buildings. There's people there who saw the shooter, obviously going up to the building, but there's crowds over there as well that were even in that area. So it was just a massive, massive crowd.
So it was jammed. So let me ask you this. There's been a lot of talk about this now, and Chaz Palminteri, you know who he is. He's a good friend of mine. We just had a conversation, and then I saw what he said was supported by some of the news reports, and that's this. This guy was obviously on a rooftop, like you said, within 150 yards. He had a clear shot at Trump. And what they said is initially 3 shots were fired. And then immediately after those 3 shots, you heard another 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Now, the first 3 allegedly were the ones that were at Trump and hit Trump, unfortunately, and the 2 people or 3 people behind him. And then immediately, not even waiting a second, the other shots fired out, and those were the ones that allegedly killed the sniper. And here's the thing. Did you hear it that way? Was there any hesitation between the first series of shots and the second series of shots?
Yeah, there was like 3 to 4 shots initially, and then there was I would say a slight pause, maybe 2 seconds, and then another 4 to 5 shots directly after that. But there was also one more shot that was about 8 seconds after the second set of shots. So initially it was about 3 to 4, a 2 second pause, another 4 to 5 shots, and then it was quiet for about 8 seconds. And that 8 seconds seems like 8 minutes. It just was the longest time just sitting there like looking to see what's going on. And then there's a final shot, and I thought that was the kill shot. Like at that point, I knew it was more serious than what I originally thought. And that's shortly after that's when I got the video of Trump, being helped up, and then we saw him bleeding because I wasn't sure if he was hit or not. Once he stood up and there was the blood on his face, the crowd went from a confused panic to a straight panic because they knew this was way more serious than what we maybe thought, because there's still some people diving on the ground left and right. Some people are still like standing up a little bit, like just like, should I get down? Should I not get down? Is this serious? Is it not serious? And then after he got taken off, that's when we seen the other people in the crowd that were, being carried out, unfortunately, lifeless. And my condolences go out to that family, for Corey's family, and then the other 2 people in the hospital as well. But and we've seen people hurt left and right. There's a lot of older people there as well that, when people start moving quick, it's like a little stampede. And I was nervous that these 70, 80-year-old people were going to get knocked down and trampled on. Thank God that didn't seem to happen. But there were definitely 3 shots, maybe 4, then another half of shots, and then 8 seconds later, a last shot, which is, I don't know what that last shot was.
I wonder, and Robert, let me ask you, because sometimes, 2 people could be sitting next to each other and have a little bit different perspective because what their senses tell them. Did you see any difference in the shots? Because it's really critical, because if that second series of shots was fired right away, it would seem that the Secret Service agent had his sights on the sniper pretty quickly. And that's where some of this controversy is coming in, because if he had his sights on this sniper quickly, why didn't he shoot him before he had a chance to get off all those shots? If he didn't have his sights, then you would see, obviously, you'd hear a delay before he turned around and realized where the guy was, and then he started taking shots at him. So some people are saying, and you hate to believe this, but some people are saying he knew the guy was there.
Yeah.
The Secret Service sniper knew the guy was there, but let him get off a round of shots before he killed him. Hope that's
Yeah,
not the case, uh, but I think they're going to be investigating this. Robert, what do you think?
yeah, Michael. It was just a surreal moment altogether. I mean, it was a very peaceful event at first, and then you start to hear gunshots, and we heard 3 to 4 gunshots. What it sounded like at first, and it sounded like those gunshots were a little more muffled, and then followed by several more powerful gunshots, which sounded like they came from a lot closer. Now, I remember talking to Thomas before, and we had watched the snipers from the Secret Service. They set up right behind the president on the left-hand side on the roof. And, I remember pointing out to Thomas, I said, look, they got the binoculars out. It looks like they're scoping things out. So you felt safe. There was a lot of security that was there. You had the metal detectors, you had Secret Service that was there. And then you went through everything that ensued following that, and it was a tragedy. It really wasn't. And you wonder how something like that could happen, and then you start to hear stories about how close this individual was, and they were only 140 yards away. And I showed Thomas a video earlier. The Kid Rock, American Badass was playing, and the crowd was all amped, and we were just recording the crowd and the energy that was in there, and you could actually see the building in the video of where allegedly the shooter was, and the fact that you could see that from where we were sitting, it was just it really gave me chills. And I'll tell you this, that it was a really redeeming moment, Michael, when the president stood up. The entire crowd, the whole energy in the crowd, because you start to hear gunshots, people are on the ground, it was just mayhem, and then all of a sudden you don't know what's going on, and then you see the president stand up and pump his fists and say, fight, fight. And I'll tell you what, everyone just went nuts after that. The crowd just started chanting USA, and we were just happy that the president was okay. I mean, that's who we came there to see, and it's just things like that shouldn't happen in this country. This is the United States of America. This isn't some foreign third world country where these things happen, where you have a political adversary that is convicted of 34 felonies, impeached twice. It's unfortunate. What else do you have? And then something like this happens, and it shouldn't happen here, Michael. It shouldn't happen here.
No, I agree. And let me tell you that photo of him, shaking his fist like that is going to define our generation. It's iconic. It's unbelievable that the guy can get up and just yell, fight, fight, fight. And it tells you a lot about his character, man. I'm telling you. And, it made me even be more proud to be an American and want this guy in power even more. Because if he's ready to stand up after getting a gunshot, he's certainly not going to back down to China or Iran or Russia or any of our enemies. And that's the guy we need in power. But let me ask you this. Did you happen to notice the building that the Secret Service sniper was on? Did you see where he was firing the shots from? And that's for either one of you. Thomas, if you want to answer first.
Yeah, it was directly right in our sight. It was slightly to our left. It was funny because at that point I text my mom, because we're sitting there all day, so it was about 5:30, and you see them getting up on the roof setting up, and I text my mom, said the snipers are here, and she got kind of scared. She's like, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "No, Trump's going to be here shortly." And back in 2020, it was the same thing. They get up there and they start scoping everything out. What was kind of confusing, like you mentioned about they might have had him in the scope, before the shots were fired. When Trump was announced, he comes out to his music. And my back, and I'm recording Trump in the background. You could actually see the two snipers up there with the binoculars looking around. There's also footage about 10 seconds before the shots were taken. Someone's recording Trump. You can see the snipers in the background, and they're aimed in the direction of the shooter. So I don't know if that's just protocol, where when he's walking out, their binoculars are up, or and then when he's speaking, they're in the scope. But it was kind of strange that when he's walking out and there's no podium, there's no protection because he has that protection, comes up to his knees. That's bulletproof. He's probably a bigger target as he's walking out. That they have binoculars 10 seconds before the shots are fired. They both have their scopes and they look like they're on point on something. And it's kind of just chilling to think that maybe they knew something was going on and they let that guy take multiple shots before anything happened.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what's being speculated at this point. Let me ask you this. You saw the building where the sniper, the shooter, was on. Were you wondering why there was no Secret Service sniper on that building standing up? Because wasn't that the building in closest proximity to the stage?
Yeah, it was. Besides what was behind the podium where the snipers were, there's like three buildings back there, kind of, and that's where the snipers were. But then, yes, where the assassin was, that was the closest building. And Robert and I were talking because when they were setting up, I said, "There's 60,000 people here. You just have, I was looking around for the Trump's plane to come, see what direction he was coming in and see if he's going to do a flyover because he's done that at previous rallies." But I'm also looking at all the other rooftops in the distance and seeing there's no other snipers nowhere. I'm like, and I mentioned to Robert, like, this is kind of odd that there's only two. From the moment they set up, the guns were facing the same direction they were facing when the shots were fired. And I'm like, well, what if there's chaos to behind them? They have to get up, they're on the stand, so that they get up, turn, and there's a lot of movement going on, and that's just way too long. As we've seen, 3 seconds is too long. It's really confusing how there's only two snipers, and he's in this wide open area, and we had a lot of different security concerns with the crowd. There's umbrellas that were allowed, there not only while we're waiting because it was so hot to help block the sun, but also when we're sitting there, 15 feet from the president, the former president. There's umbrellas everywhere, which is a massive security issue. That's blocking so many different views, and people were yelling at people like, "I can't see, put it down," and they were being polite and putting taking the umbrella down. But I mentioned to Robert, I said, "This is kind of concerning that they allow these umbrellas here. Like, it's easily you could block some a view of somebody and easily have evil intentions behind that umbrella." It was just concerning.
So did you have security concerns prior to, the shooting?
Yeah,
When
we did. Robert,
the area?
yeah, Robert and I had multiple conversations before he came out, and I'll let him talk a little bit about what we were talking about. But yeah, the crowd was just in the aisles where they shouldn't have been, and it was pretty concerning. But Robert wants to go on from there, and he could tell you what we were talking about. It was pretty concerning, in multiple different ways.
Please do, Robert, because the reports are coming out now that Trump's team has asked several times for additional Secret Service security, and they were denied. And I got to tell you this, it takes me back to January 6th when Trump was asking for the National Guard and kept getting denied for it, both by the mayor and by Nancy Pelosi. So, and then I'm thinking about how, the White House denied Robert F. Kennedy Jr., any Secret Service. And I'm saying, why? Why is he doing this? But Robert, what was your assessment of the area as far as security?
You know what, Michael? I know that for the amount of people that were there and as wide open as the space was, I know, like Thomas was saying, we definitely had some, concerns about that. As far as, security protocol for everyone that was entering into the facility, I thought that it was fairly organized. I thought, law enforcement did a good job they set up the metal detectors. They wanded people as everyone was coming through. But as far as once we got in there, I know Thomas and I had several conversations about how many people were packing in, and it just I don't know if it was different than other rallies we had been to. I know that Thomas and I had attended a rally at the Pittsburgh Convention Center. I actually attended the inauguration. Congressman Mike Kelly, Butler County, got us tickets. We were there, and it was a different. There was a lot of different security measures. It seemed like so. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to speculate if there was, miscommunications that happened between local law enforcement and Secret Service. It just seems like it's really troubling that this individual can get that close to a former president and soon to be the Republican nominee and potentially the next president of the United States. And the guy's 140 yards away. I spoke with a buddy of mine that I work with. He's a Marine. He was a Marine sniper, an ex LAPD officer. He did several tours in Iraq, and I was just talking to him about this. I said, how could this happen? And he said, look, he said, it doesn't happen. He said, these guys follow such strict protocols. The fact that this individual got that many shots off before somebody took him out, it doesn't happen. So, it's disheartening again, Michael. I got young kids. I know Thomas has a little girl as well. My son, Roman Arturo, he's 4 years old, just turned 4. My daughter, Ariana, she's 2.5. And, I don't want them growing up in a world like this, not in a country. You would think this is the United States of America. These things don't happen here, but it's scary because you don't want your kids to grow up in a world like this.
Well, no, I totally agree with you. And look, this is never, doesn't matter what side it's on, left, right, Democrat, Republican. This is never something that we should ever have to witness or see. But I will tell you this, there's another video making the rounds that's even more disturbing or just as disturbing. It's a young man that's on there and says that he saw this sniper, okay, shimmying up that building with a rifle. And he immediately notified the local police and the Secret Service. And they didn't take him seriously, or they didn't understand what he was saying, but they didn't do anything about it. Now, here's the thing. If he's telling them that, and he's telling them that as this guy is going up the side of the building. Now, he had to get up, he had to set up. Many minutes had to pass, and nobody did anything about it. Now, I will tell you this, I hate to start to think that this was a setup or anything else, but guys, I got to tell you this. If you ask me right now to stake my life on this, I would have to, based upon my experience, the people I've spoken to, what my dad has told me, what other guys prominently in my former life have told me. There's no question that the JFK hit was CIA mob involved. No doubt about it. I would stake my life on it. I wasn't there, but the right people told me that, had no reason to tell me that. You usually don't admit to something like that. So now I'm saying there's so much hatred toward this guy, and the left has fueled that hatred. There's no doubt about it, calling him Hitler and a Marxist and destruction of America and all this kind of stuff. You hate to think that something like this could really take place. But you have to think about it. You have to say there's too many things here that didn't make sense. Now, granted, it could all be negligence. It could be they just weren't prepared properly, which is not an excuse. But I'd rather hear that than there's really some kind of sinister plot behind this. I hope that's not the case. Would we ever find out if it really was? Who knows? I don't know. But there's a lot of things here that are very suspicious. Let me ask.
I think.
No, go ahead. Let me ask you. Just being there, normal guys there to see the guy that you're going to vote for. You hear these shots ring out. I mean, were you scared? Did you hit the deck? What was the general thing when it happened? I mean, and listen, don't be ashamed. I mean, if you were scared and hit the deck, I mean, we all get it. That's what you should be.
No, well, I'll let Robert take over. This is kind of, I want to say funny, but pretty funny for us at least in this, but just terrifying moment. But go ahead, Robert.
Thomas and I have been actually talking about this since we left, Michael. There were a couple. I worked for a heavy industrial construction company based out of Pittsburgh, and I was sitting next to a couple iron workers. These guys, you've probably been around the construction world, Michael. You know how these guys are. These are rough and tough guys. They don't mess around. So we're standing there. We hear these gunshots, and these are both retired iron workers. And, they hit the ground. The guy's telling me, he's going, hey, get down. So I get down with him and I'm looking up and I see Tommy. Tommy's, he's sitting in his chair like just stunned, like he was watching, the Sunday news, I said, hey man, you got to get down, and he's going, I think I'm not going to speak for him, but it was just such a surreal moment, Michael, I'm not going to lie, I was, we grew up in in an area that's, we're right by Youngstown, Ohio. We're Newcastle, Pennsylvania guys. It's the crime rate's a little higher there for most communities, but I'm not gonna lie. I heard these gunshots, and now that I have kids, it's just a different feeling. If I was in my 20s, I was in my teens, and I heard gunshots, I don't know, but now I got little kids, and the first thing that crossed my mind was I just want to see those kids when I get out of here. So I was happy. I was happy to be able to get home and hug and kiss my wife, and hug and kiss those kids.
Hey, Robert, there's no shame in that, man. If you get fear in you at that point in time, it's normal, natural, and hitting the deck is fine. And listen, I get scared. I don't even want my kids going to concerts anymore. I get scared and I'm not even there because God forbid something like that would happen. And Tom, maybe you just froze. Who knows? I don't know. But listen, everybody reacts differently to these things, really. My wife tells me sometimes, don't you observe what's going on around you? That guy looks shady. I don't even think about it, but who knows? It's everybody's different. But let me ask you this, and I did a video on this actually. I think they posted it today. I'm not sure, but in my lifetime, and I want you two guys now, can I consider you blue collar guys? You guys are just neighborhood type of guys, regular guys like myself. I mean, we're just regular guys. I have never in my lifetime, and I'm 73 years old, seen the amount of hatred and vitriol and animosity to anybody in politics. And you look and you say, what did this guy do? I mean, did he rape your daughter? Did he ransack the neighborhood? What did he do to gain this much hatred? I've never seen anything pointed at somebody from the minute he came down that escalator and threw his hat in the ring to become president right up until last night. And it'll probably continue, but I've never seen anything like it. So, my theory on this is that he was an outsider. He didn't give a darn about them. He really loves America, cares about it, and wanted to make this country great again because of his past experience as a businessman. He understood it. But I want, from your perspective, what do you think it is that this guy harbors so much ridiculous and uncalled for hatred? And I'd like the both of you to answer that.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And we could just go back to 2015. I mean, they tried to assassinate his character. They called him a sexist, a racist, and everything else in between. He gets elected. Before that, there's the Russia collusion BS. He gets elected. He gets impeached twice. That doesn't work out. COVID happens, which I got a lot of my own thoughts on COVID. After COVID, January 6th, all that BS, like we were just talking about earlier with, Pelosi and all them. And then what happens after that? That doesn't really seem to stop them, and all these crazy indictments happen. There's only one thing left to do. And we have a group, chat that we talk all this political stuff, and we're all Trump supporters. And for the last year and a half, that's all we've been saying since these indictments came down. There's only one more thing to do. And I just didn't think I would be 15 feet from it,
Yeah,
to witness it. But we talked about it, I mean, probably every day for the last year and a half. We posted the ratings, how he's pulling everything. And all we would say is, I know he's not going to make it. They're not, you can't be elected if you're not alive. And that's my biggest concern. I just did not think in a million years that I would be 15 feet from it. And it's still stunning. And it just pisses me off to be honest with you, that this is where we're at. And the media has a lot to do with it because they just create this division. They push these narratives and they just keep on pushing them and pushing them. And this is the result of that. And it just needs to stop. But again, it just, I don't know, like you never thought that I would never thought I would witness a JFK moment, even though he still lived, That could be my JFK moment, and I was 15 feet from it, but it started back in 15, and I don't think it's going to stop. It's not going to stop on July 13th of 24. He's still going to make it a handful more months, and I'm scared that he won't, to be honest with you.
Well, I can tell you this now that, this incident happened, the whole world is watching and they're going to have to be very diligent with the security. There's no question. I think he'll be behind, glass. They're going to do something. They're going to be extremely diligent. So I think, God was watching over him last night, no doubt about it. Because listen, you were there. You can say this better than me, but had he turned, an inch or two to his right or left, or whatever it was all over.
You know what,
It,
Mike? He had
unbelievable.
these bleachers that were one was directly behind him, and then one to his left and right, and then on the left and right one they had these big, massive TV screens that he was showing us how the illegal immigration since 21 has just skyrocketed, and he keeps on over and he's pointing at it, and he's pointing to his right, and as he goes to go back, that's when that shot went off. And he mentioned in his one of his tweets that he heard the whiz, and you could see his right shoulder go up, just like if a bee flew past you, you'll get a little shocked, and then he grabs his head. But as he's pointing at that TV screen, is when that shot goes off. If he was pointing to his left,
Mm.
that shot that hit him in the side of his ear would have hit him in the back of the head. And like we said, thank God that he was going to his right side, not his left. The littlest things, the littlest details,
Yeah.
the littlest half of quarter of an inch mattered in this country's history. Tremendous, like more than we know. Who knows where this country would be at right this moment if he was going to his left.
You know what? I can't even think of it because, listen, I don't mind saying it. I've been very vocal about this. Another 4 years of this administration or something similar to that, and this country's in dire, dire straits. We can't we can't handle it. It'll be a different America. And, guys like yourself and Robert and me, we understand that. And I think, fortunately, a lot of people throughout America are understanding that now. Robert, what do you say? I mean, why do you think there's so much hatred towards this guy?
No, I think that's a great question, Michael. I think that what President Trump represented, even in 2015, before he was a politician, I'll never forget watching those debates and watching him in the primary, and he was just, getting through everyone. Senator Cruz and Senator Rubio, and everyone thought that Governor Jeb Bush was going to be the next guy, and he represented the anti-establishment candidate. He was the outside. For so many years in this country, I think politicians had just kept on going, and they were doing their thing, and they got all these lobbyists and special interest groups in DC, and we don't have any term limits. So these guys, they vote whichever way they're told, who's ever stuffing money in their pockets, and nobody was controlling Donald Trump. This guy's a multi-billionaire. He's done so much over the years in real estate, in television. Nobody was stopping him. There was nobody that was going to come out and say, "Hey, Donald, we're going to give you X number of dollars if you pick up the phone whenever we call." He's not that guy. And I think that's why the status quo can't stand him. He represents that change. And, you have it on both sides, Michael, and whether I should say this or not, Republicans, Democrats, you've had people in there that have been there for so many years, the Chuck Schumers, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Mitch McConnells. I don't care if you're Republican, you're Democrat. My family, we were Reagan Democrats. I was a registered Democrat up until 2015, when I heard Donald Trump speak. And then, I changed parties and saw a different light, and we still have these discussions at the Sunday table with the family. We're eating macaroni, meatballs, and you talk politics,
Yeah.
and I think everyone talks about the same things, and you talk about, the important things in this country, and how you're trying to make ends meet, and groceries, and fuel costs, and inflation, and interest rates, and people can't buy homes. People are struggling to get through school. These politicians, They don't care. They're making millions and millions of dollars. You know, they don't got to worry about getting reelected, you know, because they're there. They know they're going to be there. They're going to get the campaign money, campaign finance reform, and term limits. Two things that would fix this government and fix this country, in my opinion. But
Well,
that's
no, you just nailed it. Term limits for sure, 100%, no doubt about it, and campaign, finance reform. I got to tell you, you're already a brother of mine because you said macaroni and not pasta. How many people say macaroni anymore?
Who says pasta?
Huh?
The Muddy Gun. That's who. The Muddy Gun. They talk about pasta.
Exactly. Yeah, I haven't heard macaroni from anybody in years, Robert. So,
yeah.
Kindred spirit. But, let me
Absolutely.
leave with this. And nobody has ever said this. You never hear this on the left. For 4 years that he was president, he never took a salary, never took a salary. And he actually lost money in his business being being the president, unlike the other guy, which I don't want to get into all of that right now. It's politics. But I want to leave you with one fact that I think is kind of uplifting and encouraging. Ronald Reagan, there was an assassination attempt on him in 1984. Obviously, he lived through it. And the election came shortly after that. And that's when it was a red wave. He had 49 states. So let's hope the same thing happens with Trump and he gets in, because I think the whole world is going to rally around him right now. And he gets a mandate, and maybe we get both houses of Congress, and he has 4 years to really straighten it out. And I'm praying he puts a good, capable VP next to him and grooms that person, to be the next president, so that we can have 8 years and great succession. Because look, we have to fight back. I don't know if you saw this, but 198 Democrats in Congress voted against illegals having a ID card to register to vote. They're already trying to pad the voting block. That's the whole conspiracy, or the whole scheme behind allowing these immigrants to come in. It's all about control and power, and them never getting out of power again. So hopefully, we hated for Trump to go through this, but hopefully this is really the rallying point that really gives him everything he needs to go over the line, because I don't trust these people. I don't trust them at the voting booths. I don't care. We can't take them for granted, not one bit. He's got to fight like his life depends upon it, right up until the day of election, without a doubt. No doubt about that, because these people are underhanded. They're devious. They're worse than any mob guy I knew on the street. I really mean that. And, we just got to hope and pray. And I do want to mention this, and I know you can't really speak about this, even though you were there. Obviously our hearts go out to that one innocent person. I understand he was an Italian firefighter. He was an Italian-American firefighter who lost his life. And then there's other two that are critically injured. I don't know what the status of that is yet, if hopefully they'll both pull through. But, obviously we're not talking too much about that, because all the talk is around President Trump. But this is a real tragedy, guys. And I really appreciate you being on here and sharing what you shared with us tonight. I'm sure my audience is going to be very interested in what you had to say, but I appreciate it very much. And yeah, this is historical. This is something you'll be telling your kids and your grandchildren for a long time to come.
Amen. Thanks for having us on, Michael. We greatly appreciate it.
All right, well, there you have it. 2 eyewitnesses to what happened at the rally. They also have video of what happened. Frightening event, scary event. A lot of unanswered questions, people. Their perspective was pretty telling to me also, especially when I asked them, how come you didn't see a Secret Service agent on the building that the sniper was on? I don't understand it. Why not? That was the building that was in, from what I'm told, closest proximity to where President Biden was standing. A lot of things don't seem right here, people, and we got to get answers to these questions. I hope the Republicans don't only say they're going to do something, but they actually follow through, because this is extremely serious. We have a death of an innocent person. Okay. And we have 2 other people that are critically injured. I don't know what the status of their lives is right now. Critically injured. So that's 3 people. And we almost lost President Donald Trump. So we got to get to the bottom of this. These people got to be held accountable. if something was seriously amiss here. We have to find this out. You can be sure that they're going to be diligent from this point. I think that both President Biden and Trump are going to be after in some kind of protective enclosure, maybe a bulletproof enclosure from this point. Who knows how they're going to react to this, but it better be a strong reaction because, hopefully people are on notice and we won't have any kind of incident like this again. And, I just got to bring this up. I heard today, it was reported that President Trump's team has been asking the White House for additional Secret Service security, and he's been denied that request. Go back to January 6th, when he asked Nancy Pelosi to have the National Guard present. What happened? She denied the request. The mayor denied the request for extra police, extra security that day. Why are they denying security requests when they know the type of crowds that Trump draws? And let me tell you this, the White House also denied RFK Jr. the Secret Service protection. He doesn't have it. Now, there's a man whose father was assassinated and whose uncle was assassinated, and yet they won't give him Secret Service detail. Why? Why? It doesn't cost them anything. Why are they denying these requests? I think we need to know why. I want them to answer. Why are you denying these requests? We had a mess on January 6th. We had an attempted assassination and one person lost their lives and two other people critically injured. Why are you denying these requests? It doesn't cost you anything. Everything is for the American taxpayer. You don't ever care about spending their money on your agendas. Why are you doing this? There's so many unanswered questions here, people. And I'm not going to get into the whole reason why this even happened last night, but I do hope, like I said, that these investigations are real, that there's no more cover-ups involved with this, because if it's the same people investigating this that have investigated Trump over the years and everything else that's going on here, then you know what? We're never going to get the right answers. But I hope this is a wake-up call for everybody. I really mean it, because this is getting nonsensical now. And I hope all the rhetoric, all this horrible rhetoric ends right now, because you see the result of it. That's it for today, people. I hope you enjoyed the interview. We try to give you information as we get it. Do the best we can with that. So how do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe. Listen, even at a rally now, you got to be safe. Just be safe. Watch your surroundings. There's a lot of people there that have bad intentions, people. There's demonic stuff going on. You see it. It's happening. So be safe. Be healthy. Take care of yourself. And yes, I really mean this. God bless each and every one of you. God bless those people that were injured and that person that lost his life last night. God bless President Trump. God, I got to say, there's an angel watching over this man, everything that he's been through, how he just continues to battle. Like I said on a prior video, you know what? He's making me proud to be an American, because if this is the man that's going to lead our country, man, I'll follow him anywhere. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to feel the same way. So that's it. God bless all of you. And yes, I'll see you next time. Take care.